In 2023, during the California wildfires, a mother had only 8 minutes to evacuate with her 2 children. She grabbed their emergency bag, but when she opened it at the shelter, she found expired medications, clothes that no longer fit, and toys her kids had outgrown 2 years ago. Her youngest had an asthma attack that night, and the inhaler in that bag had expired 14 months earlier. This could have been prevented. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how. But first, let me ask you something. Comment below right now. Do you have an emergency bag prepared for your kids? Just type yes or no. Be honest, because what I'm about to reveal will shock even those who answered yes. Hey parents, if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been with me before, you know I don't waste your time with fluff. Everything I share today could literally save your child's life. Now here's the thing, 73% of parents think they're prepared for emergencies, but when actual crisis hits, they realize their preparation was completely wrong. And the worst part, the mistakes they made were 100% avoidable. I'm going to walk you through the exact system that emergency responders and pediatric disaster specialists recommend. Not the generic lists you find online, but the real checklist that accounts for the chaos, the panic, and the reality of evacuating with children. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 deadly mistakes that 90% of parents make, the complete age-appropriate checklist for emergency kits, the one item that most parents forget but could save your child's life, and a secret system that makes sure you're actually prepared when disaster strikes. So here's what I need you to do. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the information in this video is too important to lose in your feed. And drop a comment telling me, what's your biggest fear when you think about emergencies with your kids? Natural disaster, medical emergency, getting separated? Tell me below. Alright, let's dive in, and I'm warning you, some of this will be uncomfortable, but that discomfort, that's what will save your family. Before I give you the complete checklist, we need to talk about what not to do. Because here's the truth, bad preparation is sometimes worse than no preparation at all. Why? Because it gives you false confidence. Let me show you what I mean. Mistake number 1, packing based on normal life, not crisis life. Here's what happens. Parents sit down to make an emergency kit, and they pack what they think is important. Favorite toys, iPad with games, cute outfits, the stuffed animal collection. They're packing for a sleepover, not a survival situation. I've seen emergency bags with 3 different pairs of shoes for one kid. 3 pairs. But no water purification tablets, no emergency blanket, no copies of medical records. Here's what you need to understand. In a real emergency, your priorities shift completely. That iPad? Useless if there's no power. Those cute outfits? Meaningless if your child is cold and you didn't pack layers. That favorite toy? It won't help if your child needs their inhaler and you didn't pack it. The psychology behind this is actually fascinating. When we pack in a calm environment, our brain doesn't activate the same way it does during actual crisis. We pack based on comfort, not survival. We think what would make my child happy is instead of what would keep my child alive and safe. And here's the dangerous part. When that emergency actually happens, you're going to grab that bag, assuming it has what you need. You're not going to check it. You're not going to repack. You're going to trust past you to have made the right decisions. But did past you pack a flashlight with extra batteries? Probably not. Did past you pack emergency contact information? Maybe. Did past you pack? Well, I'll tell you about the one critical item in a minute. First, let me show you mistake number 2, because this one is even more common. Before we continue, pause for just a second and comment below. What was the first thing you packed in your emergency kit? Or if you don't have one, what would you pack first? I want to see your thought process. Mistake number 2, the one-size-fits-all approach. Let me ask you something. Do you have multiple kids? Different ages? Then let me guess, you made one emergency kit for the kids, right? Here's the problem. A 3-year-old and a 10-year-old have completely different needs. Completely different medications. Completely different comfort items. Different nutrition requirements. Different psychological needs. But most parents, they create one generic kid kit and call it done. I spoke to a pediatric emergency doctor last month, and she told me a story that broke my heart. A family came into the ER during a natural disaster evacuation. Their 5-year-old had a fever. They had children's Tylenol in their emergency kit, but it was the infant version they'd packed when their oldest was a baby. The dosage was completely wrong for a 5-year-old. They thought they were prepared, but they weren't. Here's another example. Diapers. Parents pack diapers for their toddler, which is smart. but they pack the size their child wears today. Fast forward 6 months, a year, those diapers don't fit anymore. But you don't check your kit regularly, so when emergency strikes, you're carrying useless supplies. Or here's a big one, comfort items. You pack a stuffed animal your child loved at age 2, but now they're 6, and that toy means nothing to them. In a crisis situation, when you need something to calm your child down, that outdated comfort item is worthless. The medication mistake is actually the most dangerous one. Parents pack a basic first aid kit, maybe some children's pain reliever, maybe some allergy medicine, but they don't think about their specific child's needs. Does your child have asthma? Where's the emergency inhaler? Does your child have severe allergies? Where's the EpiPen? Does your child take daily medication for ADHD, anxiety, or any other condition? Did you pack a week's supply? And here's what really gets me. Parents pack these kits and never update them. Children grow out of clothes every few months. They outgrow shoe sizes. Their medical needs change. Their comfort items change. But that emergency kit, it sits in the closet, gathering dust, becoming more and more irrelevant. So let me ask you directly, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Have you made this mistake? Have you packed one generic kit, or not updated your kit in over a year? Type guilty in the comments if this is you. No judgment, we're here to fix this together. Mistake number 3, trusting your memory in crisis. This is the one that gets almost everyone. And it's the most dangerous because you don't even realize it's a mistake until it's too late. Here's what parents tell themselves. I don't need to write down emergency contacts. I know them by heart. I don't need to pack family photos. I have them on my phone. I don't need to write down medical information. I remember it all. I'll just grab the important documents when we evacuate. Let me tell you what actually happens during an emergency. Your stress hormones spike. Your body goes into fight or flight mode. Your cognitive function literally decreases. That's not an exaggeration. That's neuroscience. When you're in survival mode, your brain prioritizes immediate physical survival over memory recall. That phone number you've called 100 times, you'll blank on it. That medical condition you've dealt with for years, you'll forget to mention it to the paramedic. Those important documents you know are in the home office, you'll waste precious evacuation minutes searching for them, or you'll leave without them. I talked to a father who evacuated during a flood. He was absolutely certain he knew his mother-in-law's phone number by heart. They got separated from their phones during the evacuation. And when they got to the shelter and needed to call family, he couldn't remember it, couldn't remember his own mother-in-law's number. He'd called it hundreds of times, but in that moment of crisis, his mind was blank. Here's another layer to this mistake. Emotional and psychological items. Parents pack practical stuff, food, water, clothes, but they forget that children process trauma differently than adults. A child in crisis needs more than just physical supplies. They need something familiar, something that smells like home, something that reminds them of safety, something that gives them a sense of control in chaos. But parents don't pack these things because they seem unimportant compared to survival essentials. So they pack the tent, the water bottles, the flashlight, but they forget the baby blanket that helps their child sleep. They forget the family photo that reminds their child that you're all still together. They forget the small stuffed animal that has gotten their child through every difficult night. And then when they're at the shelter, or the hotel, or the relative's house, and their child is having a complete meltdown from stress and trauma, they have no tools to help them cope. Let me ask you something, and I really want you to think about this. What is the one item that would comfort your child most in a scary situation? Not what you think should comfort them. What actually does? Comment below and tell me. Because I guarantee some of you are realizing right now that you haven't packed that item. Now before I give you the complete checklist, I need to tell you something. There's one item that almost no parent packs. But according to emergency responders, it's one of the most critical things you can have for your child. I'm going to reveal what it is, but first, I want you to guess. Comment below, what do you think is the most forgotten but critical item for kids in emergencies? Take a guess. Let's see if anyone gets it right. Alright, let's get into the actual checklist. This is the part where you want to take notes, or better yet, pause this video and start creating your kit as I go through each category. Okay, here's how we're going to do this. I'm breaking down the emergency kit into 5 categories. Each category is equally important, so don't skip around. We're going to go through this systematically, and by the end, you're going to have a complete, age-appropriate, actually useful emergency kit for each of your children. Ready? Let's start with the most critical category. Category 1, Medical and Safety Supplies. This is life or death stuff. So pay close attention. First, prescription medications. Not just a day or two, a week's supply, minimum. If your child takes daily medication for any condition, you need 7 days worth in that emergency bag. And here's the critical part, you need to rotate these medications. Put a reminder in your phone, every 3 months, check expiration dates and replace them. Write down the medication name, dosage, and frequency on a laminated card and put it in the kit. Don't trust your memory. In a crisis, when you're handing your child to a paramedic or explaining to a doctor at an emergency clinic, you need that information written down. Second, basic first aid supplies specifically for children. Not an adult first aid kit. Children's pain reliever, not adult Tylenol. Children's antihistamine, not adult Benadryl. The dosages matter. Also include adhesive bandages in different sizes, antiseptic wipes, antibiotic ointment, gauze pads, medical tape, tweezers, and children's thermometer. Third, if your child has any medical conditions, pack accordingly. Asthma? 2 emergency inhalers, not 1. Severe allergies? 2 EpiPens, not 1. Diabetes? Extra insulin and testing supplies. Don't assume you'll be able to get refills quickly in an emergency. Fourth, copies of medical records and vaccination records. Laminate them. Include your child's blood type, any allergies, any chronic conditions, past surgeries, and current medications. Also include your pediatrician's contact information. Fifth, and this is the item I mentioned earlier, that almost nobody packs, a recent photo of your child with their physical description written on the back. Height, weight, eye color, any distinguishing marks. Why? If you get separated, this is what first responders use to find your child. It's what goes on missing person alerts. It's what other adults use to identify your child. Think about it, can you accurately describe your child's exact height and weight right now, in a panic situation? Probably not. But if you have it written down on the back of a current photo, that information could save your child's life. Most parents never think about this, because they can't imagine getting separated from their child. But in crowd evacuations, in chaos, in disaster situations, it happens. And if it does, you want every possible advantage. Update this photo every 6 months, because children change quickly. Now, special needs considerations. If your child has any special needs, your medical kit needs to reflect that. Sensory issues? Pack noise-canceling headphones or earplugs. Communication difficulties? Pack a communication card or device. Mobility issues? Make sure you have necessary equipment or contact info for equipment replacement. Sixth, basic safety items. Emergency whistle for each child, glow sticks, small flashlight with extra batteries. Teach your children how to use the whistle if they get separated from you. Alright, that's category 1. Take a breath. I know this is a lot, but remember, this isn't just a checklist, this is what stands between your child and danger in a real emergency. So take your time, do this right. Let's move to category 2. Category 2, documentation and communication. This category is what most parents completely overlook, but it's absolutely critical. First, identification documents. Make copies of birth certificates for each child, laminate them. Also include copies of your own ID. In an emergency situation, you may need to prove custody, enroll your child in a temporary school, access services, or travel across state lines. Second, emergency contact information. And I mean comprehensive, not just grandma's phone number. I'm talking about a laminated card with at least 5 emergency contacts, names, phone numbers, relationship to child and their addresses. Include out-of-state contacts too, because local contacts might be affected by the same emergency. Also include your pediatrician's contact information, your child's school contact information, and any other important contacts like therapists, regular caregivers, or caseworkers if applicable. Third, recent family photos.